Happy Saturday, everyone. Lynn Thayer here from lynthayer.com. And today I'm answering some of the questions, some of the answers to my question that I had asked several days ago on Facebook, which was, what is the most challenging thing that you've encountered when it comes to losing weight right now? And so I did have quite a bit of feedback. And so Lynn Morrison says to be 100% on my food. Well, I would want to ask you specifically, what do you mean 100% on your food? Healthy food, good food, what constitutes healthy food? I can't really answer because I'm not quite sure what you mean. Is to get very, very specific with the answers as well. Bev says lack of energy and to be active. Okay, so then I'd want to find out a little bit more about what's going on with the energy. And being active, I guess some people bring it down to say I don't have enough time. But you know, if I could show you a way that you could actually work out and get some benefits in 10 to 15 minutes, could you make the time? And so that's the thing too, is that we behave based on our values, and our values are stored unconsciously. And so what's important to you about your health, or what's important to you about losing weight, is a question to ask yourself. And you see, if it's not really that important to you, then you won't behave in a way to get the results that you want, right? So it's finding out really what's important to you as well. So Pamela says time and priorities. So it's to prioritize and actually put yourself first. Because if you don't have your health and you're not feeling well, then the other areas of your life are also going to suffer. And that's what a lot of people don't quite put together, those pieces, is that, you know, I'm really struggling, but I'm working, I'm a mother, I'm taking the kids here and there and running everywhere, and I'm getting sick and running ragged. And so it's really important to realize that, well, if you're ill, if you're not feeling well, if you're not looking after yourself, then what potentially happens is that nothing gets done. And putting yourself at the bottom of the list doesn't make you feel well, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so Sophia says her answer was eating due to stress. Okay, so she's linking stress and eating together. So that means that there's a trigger. The stress is a trigger for her eating. And it depends on what you're eating and the amount you're eating, perhaps. And so it's to find out, well, if you know that there's a trigger, then it's to strategize. Well, plan your day ahead and know that, okay, well, this potentially could happen today, or this could happen today. And what is my plan, right? What is my strategy that I have in place in order to fuel my body with the best possible food that I know that gives me energy, okay? So it's just to look and to strategize for ways that you can deal with stressors. What else could you do instead of eat, right? Could you journal something down? Could you journal and get it out that way? Could you call a friend? Could you exercise for a few minutes? Could you meditate for a few minutes and just go inward and breathe deeply? So it's all to have a strategy on what to do when that stress hits, okay? Let me see. Doreen says, others in the home who have major sweet tooth. So Doreen, I have my son living with me downstairs, and we have Keegan part-time, and there's stuff in the house that is sweet, salty, chips, things like that, that are in a cupboard downstairs that the boys have that I just don't go near. So I guess part of it is coming down to, you know, can you fit it in, right? So there's flexible dieting where, you know what, if you feel like you really want something, instead of saying, I can't have that, You can do one of two things. You can say, I'm choosing not to have that right now, or you could potentially give yourself a little bit, allow yourself to have a small amount and be satisfied with that amount, and know that if you are having that, that you're going to offset it by exercising or by not having as many carbs and fats the next day potentially. So there's always a way that you can strategize where you can keep enjoying your favorite foods and still lose weight. What if you could do that? What if there was a way to still enjoy what you love for food and still lose weight? Well, there is a way. And it's all in how you strategize and you learn how to do your numbers. And that's something that I teach in my weight loss program as we go over styles of eating. And we learn all about the different styles of eating. And if someone chooses to, there's life, there's holidays, there's birthdays, there's celebrations. And if they choose to go out on date night and have, wine, pizza, whatever it is, then we have a strategy in place on what that week's going to look like the few days beforehand and the day after. And so there's ways around it. Marty says after 8 p.m. at the house. So I guess perhaps nighttime eating might be your downfall, Marty. And it doesn't have to be a downfall. I mean, again, it comes down to strategy. What are you eating the rest of the day? It all comes down to your total calorie intake and expenditure, let's say. So it doesn't have to be a bad thing. David, let me see. Social situations where folks are wanting to be social with food or alcohol, and it's tough to say no. Ooh, when did you decide it was tough to say no? Especially if it goes on for more than an hour or two. Okay, so knowing if you're going to a social situation is to have a plan. And again, I'm sure you've heard these things before, is how to strategize and have a plan. Another thing that I do with folks is hypnosis. Yes, you heard it right. Hypnosis. I'm actually I have a date night tonight with my son. We're going to see Jason Cyrus at the Playhouse to watch some comedy hypnosis, which is going to be a lot of fun. And so sometimes folks who are struggling with sugar addiction, with binging, with not being able to say no to sweets, things like that, hypnosis, working with the unconscious mind, can work very, very well. And so we also include hypnosis in my weight loss programs. Let's say Krista says food, and that's all she says is food. So what specifically about food, Krista, is troubling. Melanie says staying motivated to exercise. Yes, and that can be key for many people. And so for me, motivated to exercise, I know I feel good after a workout, and I have a trigger. So first thing in the morning, when I wake up, I look to the left where my dresser is, and I have my workout clothes sitting there. Visual trigger. That triggers me that, oh, that's what I'm putting on right now, and that's what I'm doing first thing in the morning. And my gym bag is packed so that I can shower up and be all ready for my day. And so I find that people, if you can find a trigger for yourself, either a visual one, an auditory one, it could be, a ding on your phone, a song that comes on that tells you, okay, it's time to exercise now. Another thing I do with a lot of my clients is those who work at a desk job where they're sitting all day long. I get them to have a pop-up come up on their screen or on their phone with a little bell once an hour. And once an hour, get up and do 10 of something. I want you to give me 10. Give me 10 push-ups, 10 burpees, 10 jumping jacks, 10 knee-ups, whatever it is, once an hour. And then by the end of the day, you've got 70, let's say, if you're there for 7 hours, 70 of something in your day. Then over that whole week, 5 days a week, you've got a lot more activity and energy expenditure during that week. And it works really, really well for people. Let's see. Tracy says not eating chocolate. Well, who says you can't have chocolate? So again, if you really love, love, love chocolate, there's a way to also have it and lose weight. It's all about the strategy. Carb cravings, Bonnie. Well, depending on what kind of carbs and how often you're eating them, what I'm finding is that when you get up in the morning, the best thing to have for breakfast, if you are a breakfast eater, is of course protein. Eggs are great, omelets. If you're even a protein shake, some of my clients like to do the plain Greek yogurt, not the sugary flavored stuff. You can add your own berries to it with maybe a little of stevia or a little all-natural honey or maple syrup that your body knows what to do with. And that's great to start the day. Midday, again, vegetable salad, more protein, maybe chicken, fish, whatever you like. And then later in the day, towards the evening, having your carb then. Because what's happening is that usually when you have a carb, it's going to spike your insulin a little bit more than the other foods. And then after it spikes the insulin, it's going to drop below. So then a few hours later, after you're eating carbs, you're feeling tired and a little bit sluggish. And that's usually what happens in the afternoon if you're having carbs at lunch. So if you have your carbs at supper time, it affects your hormones as well, so that you secrete more melatonin as the insulin comes back down, which is your sleep hormone. So the best time to have your carbs, contrary to popular belief, is actually to have them later in the day, supper time, or even like in the evening. If you're having an evening snack, you can have some rice cakes, let's say, with some all-natural nut butter on them, or things like that. So carbs, it's all about the carbs, isn't it? Maybe you can carb cycle. Kelly says sugar. Yes, sugar is very addictive. It's more addictive than cocaine, as we know. And I do a kick sugar addiction hypnosis as well to help with that sugar addiction. But you'll find that after a few days of getting that sugar out of the diet, that sweet taste, that you'll get used to it. And then later on, if you have something sweet, it's almost like it's too sweet because you haven't had it. So for example, if you're a coffee drinker that puts sugar in your coffee and you start drinking your coffee without it, the first couple of days it's like, well, you don't like it, but then you get used to it because your body adapts. Now, if you put that sugar back in after you get used to having it with no sugar, it's going to taste terrible as well, okay? So again, the body adapts. It's just going to take a little bit of time. And Kim says, knowing how much to eat, when to change the diet, and exercises up to get better results. I get to a plateau and don't know what to do. Ooh, I've heard that many times, and I too have hit those plateaus. And so what's happening is your body is adapting. If you're reducing calories and you're reducing them and they're staying at that same lower level, the body is going to adapt. Your metabolic rate is going to slow down, which is actually a good thing because it slows down for survival. And so in order to get more weight loss, normally you have to drop them again, or you have to up or change the exercises. And so you don't want to go too low, not below 1,200 calories. And so what I find that works best with people is the carb cycling and zigzagging your calories. So again, I like to try finding out maintenance for people first. But if you're going too low, again, you want to zigzag and come up to maintenance level and then go up on a high day and then back down again. So there's ways to strategically play with your calories and your carbs to help you get past that plateau. Barbie says salt. Salt is her issue. So again, it's taking the salt. I mean, not all salt is bad. The pink Himalayan salt, you do need sodium in your diet. And so if you're craving salty foods, it's maybe to look at what are you lacking nutritionally. There could be a lack of certain nutrients or vitamins, and that's something to look into. Emma says self-discipline, especially when it comes to food. Okay, so again, for me, what I work with clients on the most is making a plan, and it comes down to strategy. So knowing that if you're on the road for work, let's say, knowing where to stop if you don't have meals prepared and with you. Subway, some of the fast food restaurants, you can get all the nutritional information and you can fit it into what your allotment is for the day for carbs, fats, and proteins. And so it's to be very strategic in looking at it. Ron says, just sticking to a meal plan. Well, if you want to stick to a meal plan, sure. But does it mean that you have to stick to a strict meal plan to get to your desired goal? Not necessarily. Again, comes down to strategy. Ashley says, working 12-hour shifts and then going to the gym to get it all done when utterly exhausted. Ooh, I've done that before. I used to work 12-hour shifts and 12-hour nights and not enough sleep. So again, if you're that exhausted, if you're that tired, maybe take a day off and let your body rest. And then, once you've got a couple of night shifts over with and you're feeling better, then hit the gym again. I just wouldn't work out if you're too exhausted. Zach says, seeing absolutely no progress after months, then having to restart. Well, if you're seeing absolutely no progress, then I'd want to find out specifically what you're doing for workouts and for food, because there's always a way to get started and get the results that you want. Sometimes people are eating too low a calorie, the body gets adapted, and we need to strategically do what's called a reverse diet to bring the calories up and let the metabolism catch up. Once that metabolism catches up, and you're able to eat more, right, then you can drop it again a little bit and help with your weight loss. So there's always a way around it. Joan says, it stalls, but switched up my food again for the win. Perfect. Switching things up is always a great thing. Cheryl says, I eat good and exercise, but portions and hungry in evening between 9 and 10 are my weaknesses. So, sometimes it's to, again, make sure that you have something between 7 and 8, let's say, if you're going to bed between 10 and 11. Let that food digest before going to bed. And what I found very helpful in the evenings when I'm really craving something is I'll have an herbal tea. There's tons of different flavors out now, so you can have an herbal tea that might curb that. Melissa says, struggling to carve out times to move when my schedule is full. I just want to keep working to finish things. Warmer weather will help. Yes, I do believe the warmer weather will help a lot. Great. And Mimi says, focus and discipline. Again, people focus on what they don't want oftentimes. They're looking in the rearview mirror, right, which is very small. It's in the past, that rearview mirror. So it's to focus solely on what you want for yourself, which is going forward, that big focus in the front. And so remember, the unconscious mind doesn't process negations directly. So when you say, I don't want blank in my life, well, what often happens is you get more of it. So it's to really, really focus going forward on what you want for yourself. Get clear on what it is that you want. Oftentimes, clients come into my office and they tell me everything that they don't want. And I say, well, that's great that you know what you don't want, but if you don't want that, what do you want instead? And they sit there and they wait because they can't tell me right away because they're so focused on everything that they don't want. And that's a problem. So if you're one of those people that you know what you don't want, well, ask yourself, what do you want instead? Make a big list. Take that list, put it everywhere in your house, put it where you can see it first thing in the morning and before bed. And so that your mind and your unconscious mind is totally obsessively focused on what you want for yourself. And you go in that direction. Now, it's also key to have a plan because you can focus on what you want all you want. But if you don't have any action steps, then how are you going to get there? So it's to have the action steps and to be consistent with it. Okay. So I want to thank everyone for doing all of those answers for me. I put out that question a few days ago. And as you can see, a little update on me, 1 week away. So yeah, I know you can see the arms, you can see the muscles there. We got 1 week to go for Women's Physique. And Mike is doing great as well. He's competing, I think, in 3 categories, and I'm just in the one little category because it's an open category. So there's no age limit. There's no age category or weight category for my category with Women's Physique. So hopefully this week will go well. It's peak week is what they call it. So for me, I'm trying to up my water right now. I've got to admit, I'm not a huge water drinker anyway. I do always try to get 2 to 3 liters in. But I'm not someone who drinks 4, 5, 6 liters of water a day. And so for me, trying to get in 4 liters or more is a challenge, considering I'm going to the bathroom to pee every 5-10 minutes. Hard to get anything done that way. So upping the water. Tomorrow, Sunday, is my last leg day. I'm going to do a leg workout tomorrow and some cardio. Monday for me, I think I'm doing everything myself as I've always done. I think I'm going to do about 50 grams of carbs Monday, 30 grams of carbs on Tuesday, Wednesday, no carbs at all. A tiny little bit. I might get in some green lettuce. I'll have salad on Wednesday with protein drink. Chicken, probably. I haven't had a lot of tuna this time around. I'm not a huge tuna fan, but I will have it occasionally. So I might have some tuna. Thursday, not until after lunchtime. Thursday after lunch is when I'll start introducing carbs again to Carb Up. And I think I'm going to be using mainly sweet potato, oatmeal for carbing up is going to be my main carbs. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to add in. I'm going to do a little bit more research. I think last time when I competed, I did use some rice and white potato, but I don't know if I will this time around. We'll see. Friday, we're off to Moncton, and we'll be packing all of our food, all the meals with us. And Saturday, we hit the stage. So I'm wishing you all a great night. Again, tonight, looking forward to going to see Cyrus, who I met and chatted with. It's been over a year now. And so when we did our trainers training to become trainers of hypnotherapy in the US last year, all of us, in order to pass, we had to do a comedy hypnotist show ourselves. So I've done one myself, just a little one with 20 other students in the US last year. It was a lot of fun. And so hypnosis and hypnotherapy can be used for comedy, a lot of fun, but it can also be used therapeutically, and it helps people with many, many different ailments, as well as helping people with creating better habits. There's a whole list on my website of athletes who have used sport hypnosis to help them with their mental game. And yeah. So again, my name is Lynn Thayer, lynthayer.com, and I'm wishing you a great weekend. We'll have more updates this week. Bye for now, everyone.